Mr. Richardson, Governor Richardson, to you, sir, I say one hell of a job. I cannot say that I'll vote for you, because I most likely will not, but I can say that I respect your leadership skills. Most people know that the road to the White House begins in the governor's mansion. Anyone who takes the time to see what you have done as a governor for your state will know that if given a chance, you would work miracles for our country. And I am honored that you've placed your hat in the ring. And just because I may not vote for you does not mean that many, many others will not vote for you. And so here is my advice to you, sir. Psst, take a look at John Edwards' video also. You can follow that advice too, if you get my drift. But for you, I say goodbye to the IRS and say hello to the generational tax. You are the best candidate to suggest this proposal, and it should make you hugely popular. My speech to you is going to be somewhat complicated, so please bear with me. You, like I said, are the best candidate for this proposal, and it should make you hugely popular. As you know, Mr. Richardson, immigration is a hot button issue, one that will not go away and therefore must be resolved. And I feel that a generational tax will do it in a way that is fairly simple and, if done correctly, should make everyone happy. But let's keep this on the positive. Can you imagine that there are 5th and 6th generation Americans who are living in poverty and are struggling to make ends meet? That there are people out there whose grand and great-grandfathers died in wars so that their great-grandsons could live in poverty. Why is this so? How is it acceptable to us as a country? We are a nation of immigrants, and yet we do very little for those who helped make us such a nation. And now we want to stop the influx of one of the very things that make us stronger and different from any other country. I say stop the insanity. Those of us who have lived here the longest, regardless of our race, religion, color, or social status, should pay the least amount of taxes. Why? Because our great-grandparents suffered for this country and put everything in place, rather, for which others can flock here to take advantage of. I say, welcome the best of the immigrants here to America. Open our doors again, because these are the people who will be shouldering the tax burden. If you can prove that you are 4th or greater generation American, then you should pay incrementally less taxes than a 3rd or less generation American, who will pay more taxes, but would also have the comfort of knowing that their children and their children's children would pay much less taxes and have enjoyed access to all the public services that make this country so great. So, that may have sounded a little bit convoluted, so I'm going to word this now and try and look directly at you. If you are 3rd generation, 4th generation, or less American, you should be burdening the higher amount of the tax burden. If you are a 5th generation or greater American, then you should not have to shoulder such a great burden, because your forefathers already did that. And so our nation thanks you for the services that your great-grandparents, your grandparents, and even your parents have done for this country, and your great-great-great-grandparents, as would probably be in my case. Mr. Richardson, sir, I am no economist, but I am no economist by a long shot. But I think if you were to get the right group of people together to crunch the numbers, they could show you how this would not only be a doable, but also profitable for all Americans as a whole. If you started at, say, a 17 to 25% tax on those just entering the country and worked your way down, from there, the potential would be revolutionary, and we would be capitalizing on our country's greatest sources and in a very honorable fashion. This would in turn allow you to enact laws that would make it easier for law-abiding immigrants to become citizens, and it would help all Americans become more patriotic and less xenophobic. Oh, and this would most likely be an income-based tax system, so the IRS would still be in business and there would be no layoffs for them. Just a lot less hatred from the general public of them. So that is my suggestion for you, and I would love to have a dialogue with you on that. And if you wanted to, I would provide more information, but I'm just trying to provide basic outlines of suggestions here. And now on to my pet peeve. And you have one, I have one for you, just as I've had one for all the rest of the presidential candidates. For you, Mr. Richardson, I say be more you and speak to your culture. Now, I may very well be in the wrong here, and this is why it's a peeve, and it's my personal view, and not what I think is a mainstream view. But I would love to see you speak both in English and in Spanish. So to paraphrase as much and as often as possible. Show your Latino brothers and sisters that you are just as proud to speak to them as you are to speak to any other American. But also make the example that English is and must be respected as our national language. Being Latino is nothing to be ashamed of, but neither is learning English. And we have to put this debate to rest. If you speak to us in our language first, and then paraphrase in Spanish, I feel you would send a positive message to our nation's children. They will understand that there are many different types of Americans who speak other languages, and you represent one of those groups. It will also say that English does and must come first. It will also show those Americans who can't speak English that they can learn just as you did. And it will show those of us who can't speak any other language but English that you respect our feelings on the subject because you are speaking to us first. I think this would make an excellent example on your behalf when speaking to all of us in America. May all bless America, and thank you for your time, Mr. Richardson. Block out.